Okay, I just flipped to 10 o'clock. I will call this meeting of Seneca County Commissioners to order. 10 a.m. as of August 20th, 2020. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Paradiso, are you ready to lead us in a prayer?
Yes, let us get in the right frame of mind for this meeting today. Heavenly Father above, we ask that you bless the school children, the teachers, the parents, administrators, all those that have worked real hard to bring school back to the families, that everyone comes in with an open mind, that we adjust, we work, and we keep the kids at the forefront as we try to work with them and enhance their lives. We also want to thank all the members of the county that have worked real hard, health department, through this crisis, that you continue to guide everyone as we move forward in your will and as you direct us to. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, roll call, please, Nikki.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Here.
Okay, I will accept the motion to approve the digital audio video recording of our previous board session held Thursday, August 13th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Anthony. Roll call, please, Nikki.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Okay, Stacy Wilson, we're all the way down to you already.
Okay. Share my screen here. It'll come up. Okay. I think you should see that. I guess first I'll talk about sales tax numbers. After our board meeting last week, checked the state website and they had our sales tax posted. So as you can see for August, which would include June sales tax and a partial of May sales tax. We've always referenced it as 2 months behind, but their calculation is a little bit different. So it's 2 to 3 months behind. As you can tell, we are up over last year, 1.8%, almost 1.9%. I mean, over the year, and just August of last year, we were up 11%, which is very good. As you can see, it actually was the highest in the last 7 years that we've had as an August payment. So a little surprising, but I guess that's good news for our area. If you've seen the CCAO newsletter, the state's up as well. So I think the federal money had helped, the stimulus helped. People were still doing what they needed to do and still spending that money, as they needed to. So, we still got to be cautious going forward, but, this month, is a good month for us. Jimmy had put a chart together. He likes charts and colors. So thanks, Jimmy. Just to kind of show you the trend of monthly sales tax from 2019 and 2020. You can see the lag on our sales tax in June and July, when this year kind of reflected the shutting down of businesses and basically Ohio. So, and then he's also put a rolling chart together to show where we're at, showing the difference. So right now we're up 1.9% as projected. As you can see, the beginning of the year, we were trending right on track, actually above projections all the way through until we had June or July. And so right now, if we would go back to our original projections of the 17.5, we would still be up 1.9%. So
I think that's an important distinction, Stacy, that this 1.9% is not based on the adjusted certified number. It's based on the original number of the 17.5. So I think that's got to be very clear here.
Yep. So that's a little bit on the sales tax. We're early in the revenue for August yet, so we don't have a lot of numbers in. The sales tax number isn't in her report yet, so I won't update you on the month to date so far, because it's we're only sitting about 400,000 right now from what's put into the system. So we'll get into that later. Wanted to bring up, you had asked me, not last week, but the week before, to reach out to departments that had reduced hours to help the general fund, save what we were anticipating, potentially losing 20%. So I reached out to some of the departments. There's a couple that I need to have conversations with. But as you can see, the youth center and the sheriff, in my mind, are extremely important. I've talked to the sheriff quite a few times, talked to Sarah, the new director, out to the youth center. So she's kind of new to the director position, but she's doing a wonderful job. They're concerned with, obviously, things are starting to get back. They're limited on the kids they can take with the the employees that they have. She's concerned, and along with the sheriff also, the intakes are starting to increase, not really bringing in many more ICE. There may be a few here and there, but he's still being very cautious with the coronavirus still going on. So some of the ICE detainees were being very cautious, but we've got to take the locals. But it's putting a strain on out there, since they're, kind of rotating schedules to be at a 4-day work week as well. So as you can see, the youth center would need about, 29,000 to make it through the rest of the year. Sheriff for the roadside and the jail side, you can see the numbers, 187,000 and 330,000. I think sheriff's numbers were actually maybe a couple weeks started early, because I had asked him a while ago. I got to have a little bit of a conversation with the treasurer, just because I think a little bit of miscommunication in the numbers there. If you look at the recorder's number, he said he had a unexpected retirement come in, and so that's why his number looks a little high. I think we only reduced him originally, maybe 30. So that's why I had the conversation with him, because I know that's for a buyout as well. So he's supposed to get those numbers for me to break them down, so you could actually see what it would take to get him through the rest of the year, minus the buyout of his retirement. I'm still waiting.
I want to insert one thing here.
Sure.
I understand where the recorder's coming from, but I think that we need to make it clear to the electeds and the department heads that if they chose to have people there more frequently than we asked on the 20% decrease, and if they chose to take money out of other funds that they had other than operating money to fund that we are not in a position to replenish those other funds that they used. I think there's been some discussion about that, and I wanted to make it clear that You know, we're going to have the discussion about bringing people back on a full-time basis, but don't expect us to put money back into funds that they use that was contrary to what we had asked them to do regarding a 20% reduction. Even though they reduced the general fund by 20%, they still, in some cases, use other funds. And those funds, at least from my standpoint, I'm not willing to reimburse because they decided to go on their own with that.
Yeah, I concur with that, Mike. You know, number of agencies have separate pots of funds, Justice Center, the auditor, the treasurer, the prosecutor. So I concur with that as well, Mike.
Yeah, and there was a real fear. I think that we've had some discussion about this, that those other funds would be diminished. They're there for specific reasons, and that sometime in the future, if they did use that money to fund staff, that they'll be back at the table with the general fund asking for additional money. So I think that we got to draw that line very quickly. Sorry, Stacy, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Pipe in anytime.
Sorry.
So I got the total with just the numbers I have. Like I said, I want to talk to Dell a little bit, and then, I got to have a little conversation with Paul, trying to figure out where his numbers come from. The rest I understood, and they were pretty cool. Most of them had called me and walked me through them, so that way I understood, and they calculated it out exactly. I know we originally weren't scheduled to have budget commission until September 3rd. She has now rescheduled that to, I want to say the 9th maybe. So as of right now, because the revenue isn't adjusted, our certified money to appropriate is only sitting at $781,000 right now. So, if you looked at the last number, it was about $680,000 without the revenue being adjusted from budget commission. As she has us set right now, we're sitting at 781 is where she's got us at. So I did want to mention that, not that these budgets are empty and would need us to appropriate it right now if you decided to move forward with it, but appropriating everything plus anything else that might come up would put us in the red.
President Kirschner, do we want to talk about how we want to move forward? I mean, is this a good time to do that since we're on this topic?
Yeah, I appreciate that segue, Shane. I think that after consideration and some deep thought about this, we've got a situation at the children's center that the student teacher ratio has to be X number in order for them to bring the kids back, and that there is also some guidance regarding prisoner guard ratio at the sheriff's office if we want to fully fund that. So my thought about this at this point, obviously this is open for discussion, but my thought is to bring the folks at the children's center back 100%, and the sheriff's office, including the jail, back at 100%, and defer the conversation about the rest of the county until after the September 13th or 11th or whatever date that is budget commission meeting. So that's the start of the conversation. I'll let you guys chime in what you think.
I like it.
I hate to say this, but I like it as well. I was thinking that, so, the sheriff's been on the agenda here for a couple weeks, and, our job is to be skeptical, but the numbers are what they are, and they're very positive, through today. But that allows us another few weeks it stays for you to do your work and for Julie to certify a different number. So do we need a motion then to
We do. I don't know
do
if we
that?
need, good to have it, yeah.
Shane?
I'll motion that we restore the funding for the remainder of the year for the sheriff's department and the youth center, and defer further decisions until the September 9th budget commission meeting.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any additional discussion about that topic? Hearing none,
Yep. All I was going to say, Mike, is that would include discussion of, some of our partner contracts that we need to address, getting them back whole in the fourth quarter. So, after budget commission, I think we can have that conversation. And I would say I would be optimistic.
yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, and
Okay.
I think I'll just add as we're looking forward, part of the discussion also is the county cuts were payroll, but they were also travel and other expenses. We have contract services, Shane, as you alluded to. We have the museum that's part of that discussion. So I think as we may want to stair step our way back into, or we may just want to broad brush it and bring everybody back. But I think there's some components to the discussion on top of payroll.
Yeah, it sure looks like the trajectory of our income this year is going to be closer to the original certified amount than it is the adjusted certified amount. Tony, did you want to have, while we're having this discussion before we take the vote, did you want to include in the conversation the budget stabilization money?
Yes, I would. So part of our revenue is we are certified with income for 2020 includes the 880,000 that we transferred from our Medicaid fund, which is basically a reserve fund, into the general fund. So I've brought this up before. As we go forward and bring services back to the county, I would like to see us replace some of that Medicaid money. And in my head, if we transferred 880, maybe take 500,000. So as we go through this calculation, I'd like to see 500,000 moved over into the stabilization fund, still leaving 380,000 roughly of money that would be calculated into this year's general fund income. But I think that's a nice balance between bringing services back and kind of putting a little money aside for the future. And so as we look at all the numbers in my mind, I always bring this up, but that's kind of my thought process. Those are the numbers that I think would be a reasonable balance. Not all the money, none of the money, but maybe 500 of it, which would take our stabilization fund to $1 million, which isn't even a month worth of cash flow.
Okay, so Nikki, the meeting immediately after the budget commission meeting in September, I'm not sure what the day of that meeting is, but we want to put on the agenda, review the status of employees, review the budget. That would include, as Shane mentioned, the contract services. It would include, as Commissioner Paradiso mentioned, the budget stabilization fund. So having said that, I need a vote on the motion that's on the floor. Nikki, you want to do a roll call?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Okay, Stacy, back to you.
Okay, I want to go to the CARES request. The committee met on Tuesday. I think I sent you an updated spreadsheet yesterday. So the committee met, they went through each of the items that have been requested and they agreed, we agreed, everybody agreed that all of these were an allowable expense. You know, anything from obviously the hand sanitizers, disinfectant, gloves, masks, some laptops to make, you know, working at home when the offices are closed. We had a couple requests on getting some furnaces and air duct cleaning, carpet cleaning, you know, working, getting like EMA, getting a website platform so he can put these straight out on the website. Some of the COVID questions, concerns, updated numbers, you know, face shields, more masks. We've got the commissioner's office put in for the request for an upgraded camera system. Because once we start going back into session, you know, as you know, having Zoom with 3 of you in one room, each microphone and, you know, voice tends to be difficult to have in one room. So we've also got the request from some of the departments had put the plexiglass up, juvenile probate. They needed one. I think it was on the first floor. They went ahead and put that in. You know, they thought, the committee thought that was allowable expense. The Zoom subscriptions. So that's about the extent of some of the requests. I don't think I missed anything. So right now, with every previous and new expense that's on this spreadsheet, the total amount would be $114,192.43 that we would be asking for. The large dollar amount would be the Job and Family Services asking for 41 laptops and some remote scanner printers for documentation. You know, they started working at home again, and it's difficult right now. They're moving their full desktops to their homes, and if they just had their laptops, they could do a little bit more remotely, even if it was at a different location if they need to be. So, but the committee thought that that is an allowable expense. So we're asking for approval so we can get these processed. If there's any that you'd like to have any questions or concerns about.
The only thing I would suggest, Stacy, you mentioned the ear printers, and you know, I don't know what you're doing for your staff here, but it probably would be a good idea to, you know, for one or all of you to have the ability to print things off at home. You know, I know with mine, it's set up that I can print things here and at my house on another printer, but I don't know that you should have to absorb the expense, or staff should have to absorb the expense of printing things at home if they need to. So you might want to check around with folks. You know, you mentioned the laptops for Job and Family, and I agree with that. But I'm sure there are those cases where people need to have printed documents at home.
Yep. And I think once we start approving these, other departments are going to see and, you know, start thinking. I did ask John, since Job and Family Services was the one that went out and got the quote for the cleaning. I did ask John to kind of go out and get a quote for some of our other buildings for some deep cleaning and some, you know, so he's going to get that for us. You know, so other departments are giving us some ideas that, you know, is definitely a COVID expense, you know, having some of the ductwork clean, making sure our filters get changed a little bit more often. So those requests will be coming in too. We pulled some numbers for just payroll alone. I did not pull PRS, Medicare and stuff, but for the public safety, which would include EMS, EMA, 911, from March 1st to the last payroll, what they could potentially be asking, which isn't on this report, is about $123,000. The sheriff's amount is quite higher, is 1.3. But I did get an email from Charlene this morning. She has submitted all the requests, which includes the sheriff's request for previous payroll. So this number is in that grant that she got submitted for the sheriff's office. So there was just some other numbers. So if we specifically just went on payroll alone, we would have our money spent a couple times. But
Say that one more time, Stacy, I'm not following. 123 is the payroll amount from,
for EMS, EMA, and 911, the
oh, okay,
salaries.
all right. What's the total payroll expense right now across the county? A range, you don't have to give me a number specifically.
The last time we ran the report was about 400,000. Our only hesitation is the guidance from OBM and the Treasury are saying that obviously public safety, public health, and human services for administrative ease, they're allowing 100% payroll for those entities. So that's in our mind, there's not a question on public safety. The question goes back to, and we still don't have the clarification on the other departments, that they're saying that it needed to be either substantially different work. And I think I used this as an example last time. Me, instead of doing budgets, I'd be doing cleaning toilets, cleaning. So that was the example they kind of used, substantially different or substantially dedicated. So there may be a few departments that could be considered dedicated. So we haven't added those numbers into this. The last time we ran them was about 400,000.
Okay, so we got 514 in total or thereabouts. And how much have we been allocated?
923.
923. Okay, thanks.
I have a couple comments. So, Stace, when we talk on the 9th budget, can you give us a guesstimate of what we might receive back into the general fund from these kind of either the grants or the CARES money? Because my understanding is some of this will come back in, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
We had a couple one-time events. So we had the comp check come in and, sales tax is what it is. But it's possible, commissioners, that, there could be $400,000 of dollars coming in the general fund that are part of this CARES money as reimbursement. Whatever it is, I'm just bringing that up. So I'd like to kind of at least trail or track that along with all our discussions. Part two is, without naming the names, I've attended several township meetings, and two of the townships that I was at, they are not submitting any request for CARES money. They just didn't have legit expenses, and for a case of mask or whatever, they didn't feel it was worth it. So I think that we're going to have, and based on the report I saw last week of a lot of the townships and several villages haven't expressed interest in the money. When the county has the 900 plus, I think there's closer to 2 million total in Seneca County. So I think we're going to have a large carryover. That, it's not too early to start talking about. And I think Shane brought that up a couple meetings ago, what we may do or may not do with that. So just adding that to this conversation of CARES money.
Yep, I can get those numbers wrote down for you. Charlene's sent us this updated this morning. So in the grant that she's got submitted so far, you got 3.5 million. Some of that is City of Tiffin as well, but it's all under the same grant. So the numbers, those are the numbers she has submitted. So that could potentially be coming back to the various departments and various entities, the city, the county. So she did get that to us, and all of them are submitted. So.
Okay.
So thank you to the committee for meeting and discussing that. President Kirschner, would it be okay if I made a motion to accept those CARES Act expenditures?
I think that's a good idea.
So moved.
Yep, need a second.
Second here.
Okay, Nicole, please.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes.
Okay. And the last thing I have, which I'll be quick since I know it's 10:30. I have the policy. I'm not going to pull it up. I'll just stop sharing my screen. The policy, I think I sent it to you this morning. It's been the final draft of the policy for employees coming back to work, COVID policy. It's at the health department for review. Clemens Nelson has already approved it, and I think the prosecutor's office has looked at it. So you guys can look at it, and we'll consider adoption of that next week, because there's some departments that would like to see that. So.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions for Administrator Wilson? Hearing none, it is the TSEP show time. 10:30. Mr. Zach, are you prepared and ready to go? Are you on first or someone else?
Thank you. No, I'm going to try to get the screen up. Let me see if I can get that to happen. And working on it here. Okay, does that look good to everybody? Okay, so thank you very much, commissioners and county administrator and staff and stakeholders. We're pleased to give the county an update on some of the things we've been doing in the last quarter or so. As you know, we try to get out here at least once a quarter. With coronavirus, it's been irregular, but we're glad to be here, and I think we're planning to come back in October after our third quarter results finish up. So with that, we'll begin. This is our team that I'm very privileged to be able to work with. I want to introduce to you Sam Bucky and let him. He is a student at Heidelberg University who has come on board with us as the business outreach coordinator, doing a variety of different activities. And so what I'd like to do, first is give him an opportunity to say hello and talk just a little bit about what he's doing. So with that, Sam, please take it away.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Good morning, everybody. Like David said, my name is Sam Bucky. I'm going to be a senior this year at Heidelberg University. And my main job with TSEP is helping with business outreach coordination. So my main task mostly has been using our application Salesforce. On Salesforce, I've been helping with kind of update those businesses, whether if it's adding a new business in Seneca County, if it's getting rid of a business. I've been helping with downtown Tiffin. If there's, businesses that kind of need help, we'll help log calls as well too. Something else I've been doing is updating our Discover Tiffin app. Recently, as well as Salesforce, I've been adding new businesses, getting rid of old businesses, and kind of just logging information on that as well too. Okay.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. So we are remote. So I want to see, I know Carol may or may not be here. So I just want to see, Carol, are you out there? Okay, great. So Carol is here. So Carol, I'm going to serve as the slide mover for everyone. So with that, Carol, take it away and talk about the workforce.
Okay, good morning. David, if you want to go to the next slide. Okay, to give you an update on the 4-county group, our plan was released on June 23rd, and the steering committee has had 2 meetings since then. We're going to focus on creating videos that highlight why you should stay in the area or return to this area. The plan is to work with Tara's media department, so there won't be any cost to employers for this. The 4 CG counties, along with Lucas and Wood counties, have been asked to pilot a virtual job fair using a platform that's being purchased through a partnership with the Regional Growth Partnership and ODJFS. Our county, we were asked to be part of that pilot because of our association with the 4 CG. The alignment of career pathway systems and work-based learning committees under the Jobs for the Future platform have been meeting and have had technical assistance sessions with Jobs for the Future. Now that those two committees have established a more formal plan, the Community Buy-in Committee, of which I'm a part, can now begin to create our strategy. We will have a technical assistance session with Jobs for the Future on September 1st. With regard to unemployment, Seneca County had a 21.3% unemployment rate in April, followed by 14.8 in May and 9.9 in June. Since numbers have started to decrease, I haven't been receiving phone calls like I had in March and May, so I'm not receiving the phone calls with questions about unemployment that I had. The Ohio and U.S. rates for July will be released on August 21st and county rates on August 25th. A total of 5 videos have been completed. The last one was released on March 7th, and this project is on hold due to the pandemic, but we hope to start this as soon as possible. The Business Advisory Councils have also been on hold due to the pandemic, but the Tiffin City Schools Business Advisory Council will meet on September 17th. And the Jobs Seneca County Facebook page continues to grow, and the number of daily posts has been increasing. Now we'll show you the video from Roppe.
So Roppe, we're a rubber manufacturer. We manufacture a lot of rubber tiles, a lot of floor trim. So basically anything rubber and floor based, that's what we do here.
I go to school right now full time. It's very nice to have like a flexible schedule.
There are several jobs here at Roppe that have an incentive where once you hit your incentive quota, you don't have to stay, you get paid and leave. You don't have to work an 8-hour day.
We always want to make sure that, as people are coming in, they're learning, they're training, they're understanding the job.
What they do for the tryout period when you're applying for a new job, they give you an 8-hour slot where you get to work with the person that does that job to see if you like it.
After their introductory period, they jump right up to top pay. So there's a lot of companies nowadays where, you have a pay scale. You're going up the pay scale every year or every 2 years or however long it is. But here, the moment you hit your 90 days, you get the top pay for the job that you're at.
So that's pretty cool. Other jobs that I had, they didn't do that.
Roppe makes sure that their employees are having fun at work and outside of work.
They do a lot of extracurricular things, company events, a bowling party, a summer picnic, a golf outing, a pheasant shoot. It just goes on and on.
It's really nice. It's family-based, so we feel like a big family.
You get to know a whole other side of the people that you work with.
They're growing Roppe, but they're also trying to grow our community as well.
Yeah, it's really cool how Roppe involves the community and businesses and bringing things into the plant. Like they'll have a food truck come in.
Yes, so it's awesome. On hot summer days, they will bring in ice cream trucks, like shaved ice trucks, and it's just a nice refresher to know that just the little things matter. Like they want to make sure that they appreciate everything that we're doing, and it's all paid for by Roppe, and it's really nice.
We want to make sure that we take care of our employees because, they are the backbone of our company.
And it's a good place to work when there's a ton of people that have been here 30 plus years. There's a couple people that are still working here right now that have 40 something years. And so, yeah, it's a good place to work.
Okay, I want to thank Dead Shark Productions for producing those videos. They do a fantastic job, and those videos are shared with all the local schools to share with students too. Jobs Seneca County, again, this page launched March 7th, 2019. At this point, we have 1,869 followers. From January 1st to the end of July, some updates. Page had 1,582 posts and 4,094, 562 impressions. And then there's a list of the videos that have been produced. Okay, and from January through July, I've entered 95 job orders, with 8 being for first-time customers. I have 5 applications pending for 16 apprentices for the incumbent worker training program. The cost has to be determined. I'm still waiting to receive that information from the employers. And for that same time period, January through July, we had 5 youth and work experiences with a total of $6,781 expended. It should be noted that the work experiences were put on hold for April and May, so that figure is actually for a 5-month time period. Are there any questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Carol. Carol does an awesome job for the county. Really appreciate the partnership with Kathy Oliver, and so we're very fortunate to have her. And I think some of the bigger initiatives that she's working on with 4CG and Pathways are going to bear fruit. So super excited about those. Okay, with that, we will move on to Audrey Flood. So Audrey, tell us about rural entrepreneurship and community development and share it with commissioners and the public.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Okay, so want to go ahead and jump in rural development. So for townships and villages, after I got through visiting all of them in 2019, this year in 2020, I've just been rotating around, trying to get out to a meeting here and there when I can. Obviously, that was pretty limited during COVID, during Q2, you know, due to COVID restricting meetings, but loving getting out to a meeting now and then. My relationships with the townships and villages I see as really positive and fruitful. I think I'm, you know, making some progress on spreading the information about the value that TSEP can provide to them, to both the township trustees and the village councilman members. So that's going really well, I would say. I'm also now putting out a rural digest newsletter, which was new in Q2. I'm building that mailing list or the email list. So if anyone that is hearing this presentation would like to be on that, please reach out to me and I'd love to add you to the list. Those are anything, you know, big wins, resources, anything like that in this brand new newsletter that relates to rural Seneca County. So let me know if you'd like to be a part of that. For COVID-19 outreach, as well as just general insight, I've been reaching out to a lot of businesses, reaching out to see if there are things I could assist with during Q2 for coronavirus related issues or problems, and then also just doing normal insight calls, which are, you know, just check-ins with businesses to see how things are going. And that's really allowing me to connect with a lot of businesses and also to identify some projects in rural Seneca County that we weren't aware of before. Moving on to resources. So I've continued to try to get myself up to speed with resources that can apply to our rural businesses through organizations like USDA, SBA, and sometimes OSU Extension. I see Hallie on the call. Shout out to my friend Hallie over at OSU Extension, trying to learn how we can partner with different organizations like that to get resources out to our rural businesses. As far as projects, in Q2, we had Clinton Heights announce a large investment and expansion project that we were able to help them get some publicity on. So that was a really nice, fun thing to work on for them. That's out in Clinton Township, if you're not familiar. We have also several other ongoing projects that are, you know, still confidential, not ready for announcement, but hope to get those out soon. And there are about 30, or about 40 actually, active rural projects in rural Seneca County at the moment. As far as awareness, businesses now are starting to come to me, which I think is a big improvement. They're starting to, you know, understand who we are, what we do, and how we can help. So I see that as a great success that they're starting to now call our office and know what we can do. But I will say we still have a long way to go to educate. I think there's, you know, a good opportunity to still let people know what we're doing since it's still kind of a new area. Okay, moving on to entrepreneurship and small business. Okay, a couple initiatives here that I want to talk about. So the first one would be our strategic planning. So, you know, as you know, there's lots of entrepreneurship going on in the county, but there's never been that kind of coordinated effort. So what we're doing is trying to facilitate a strategic plan process involving all of the relevant stakeholders that are a part of this area of development in some way, and make sure we get a plan in writing that guides us and where we need to focus our resources. We are partnering with Great Lakes Community Action Partnership in order to help us facilitate this as they work with many other small rural communities on their entrepreneurship efforts. So that is sort of in the beginning stages, and we're very excited about that. The other initiative I'd like to update you on is the CEO program that is creating entrepreneurial opportunities. We have put together a steering committee, which has now actually formed into the board during Q2 of a new 501c3 organization that is going to be running this CEO program, which will focus on promoting entrepreneurship and growing young entrepreneurs in high school, juniors, and seniors throughout the county. This program we're planning to launch in fall of 2021, and there's a lot of momentum. We have a really great group there, and I do want to note that we have a lot of stakeholders in that group that's driving this. That are rural stakeholders. We have, some rural businesses like North Central Electric, Sutton Bank, Bascom Communications, and then we're making sure we're getting the rural schools like Seneca East also involved as, guiding that effort. So really, good focus on the rural county as well as the city of Tiffin for that effort. So very excited about that. Lots of momentum. We're hoping to kind of make some more, educate the community about this program in a really big way soon as well. Okay, COVID resources for entrepreneurship and small business. In Q2, I was able to facilitate a free webinar series on COVID topics. We did all kinds of different topics like financial resources, marketing and social media, pivoting or adjusting your business model, specific programs or resources, all those different kind of things. There was a long list, and all those webinars that we did are available on our website to share with businesses anytime they need to access them. Some great resources in there. So that was kind of a big thing we provided in that area during Q2 for COVID. We also used a lot of social media outreach to get the word out about resources to try to help connect businesses with different programs. And I also just tried to do a lot of, personal learning about best practices, educating myself through, calls, research, webinars, podcasts, all those type of things to make sure that TSEP is able to help businesses as best as possible. The Entrepreneurship Committee was launched in February. We took a little pause during COVID to, get a handle on providing support to our businesses as best as possible. We are relaunching that this month. So August 31st, that committee is reconvening. And one of the main things that committee is focused on is helping David and myself and GLCAP coordinate our strategic plan. So they're going to help guide that process and provide a lot of input and information gathering for us for the strategic plan. So again, another really great group that we have there, and I'm very excited to get back to working with them. And then always, as usual, a few projects in the work as far as entrepreneurship that, we're not able to announce yet, but love working with the small businesses there. Moving on to community development. Okay, so the CDBG program, my favorite. As Charlene knows at Regional Planning, this is a monster of a program. I've been doing my best to learn it and navigate it. There is reporting I work on for the last grant cycle for 2018, which was the Riverview Park project. Then I also during Q2 submitted the 2020 application for the city of Tiffin as well. And remember, this is city of Tiffin, not Seneca County, but the city of Tiffin project, if you're curious, is Nature Trails Park up in the northeast sort of section of town. Go check it out if you've never heard of it. And so now I'm again continuing to learn and manage that program for CDBG for this city. As far as other grants and projects, we also were able to, I helped facilitate getting the funding for Jefferson Street through ODNR, the streetscaping project that is actually going on right now. So we got that in Q2. We also were able to obtain a no-pack charging station for the library, was another cool project. And then I also just continue to gain an understanding of all the available opportunities and update our grants master list that's applicable for the city of Tiffin. The Tiffin Community Development Committee is one of the really big things that David and I have both been working on. We launched that in February. They have continued to work hard throughout COVID. It's a great, really well-rounded group. One of the things we've been developing through that committee is a new process. We're calling this PIP, P-I-P-P, the Project Identification and Prioritization Process. This is something that David brought the idea to us from the Dayton model of how they do their community development efforts there, coordinating it and bringing in as many dollars as possible and identifying the best projects for the area as possible. So we localized this plan for the city of Tiffin. We got that approved by the committee, and we are now working on launching it in September. We're working on our communication to all the stakeholders for that right now. That's kind of a complicated process. Again, it's focused on the city of Tiffin, but if any of you have more questions about that, give me a call. I'm happy to talk more about it. And then just one more initiative under community development that I have been working on, especially during Q2, would be the Seneca County Common Ground Organization. So this is the new nonprofit that was formed around the areas of, local food, local eating, local growing type of work. And one of their main tasks this past year, which was very active during Q2, was launching the farmers market. As the chamber was no longer able to run that, we took over that function and have been growing the market and getting that more active. And we also are working on some other local food and ag business type of projects. And I can't wait to share more info with all of you on that soon. Then just to wrap up, some other administrative duties, running our social media, featuring and promoting some rural businesses according to our contract, as well as just generally using the TSEP Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram to spread information about everything, as well as helping with the downtown social media, trying to engage, broad audiences as well as, younger audiences through those functions. And then, as always, my financial, organizational, office, administrative tasks. If there's any questions on anything like that, let me know. And I'll just conclude by thanking you for the county's continued support, for allowing me to provide these services for the small businesses and citizens of Seneca County. And please let me know if there are any questions on any of that I blew through very quickly.
Good job, Audrey.
All right. Hearing none, we're going to move forward. Thank you so much, Audrey. Really appreciate everything that she does. A lot of exciting momentum there. With that, we're gonna head into Nick Dutro, who manages our industrial, commercial, and residential development. So Nick, I'm going to hand the talking stick over to you.
All right, great. Thank you. Very excited to be on the call today. So it's been a really busy time for projects right now. Right now I'm working on 43 projects, which is down from where I was previously. And that is really because we've had so many big announcements recently. So I'll start with saying that one of our most recent is that Arnold Machine acquired a division of Finley Machine and Tool, adding 14 jobs to our economy from Finley, which is great, expanding their business as well. There was the $3 million investment by Webster Industry, which now makes for the past 2 years a $5 million investment in the Tiffin facility here, which is really fantastic. They continue to put in more machinery, more funds into their plant here locally. Also, we had a TPC purchase the former Atlas Industries, the old GE plant in Tiffin there, as they continue to grow their business, as well as add in a manufacturing or a production line. So growing into new ways, diversifying what they're doing there, and very, very excited about that. Also in our commercial district, Circle K made an announcement, or we helped Circle K with an announcement of a $4 million investment into a new facility there in Tiffin on the west of Market Street. So very excited about those. And then other kind of business announcements, expansions, new businesses that we've mentioned recently include Headshed, Little Willows Learning Academy, Ultimate Touch Salon. We helped Ball Rights with an announcement, and then Happy Days Nutrition was just announced last week. And then I've also been working pretty on a lot of stuff with Amy and Audrey as we talk about new businesses coming to downtown or rural Seneca County. So outside of projects, some of the kind of key activities, if you will, that I've been working on, initiatives. So first off, we've been continuing to work on our outreach to companies in Tiffin and Seneca County, talking to them just about where they're at as far as their job count is concerned, if they're growing, but also speaking to them about incentives, most especially the inclusion grant, which through Jobs Ohio, which provides $50,000, up to $50,000, excuse me, to eligible companies within our zip code. We've had a number of businesses that we've talked to about that, also some that have reached out to us. But commissioners, if you know any that you think might be able to utilize this program, let me know. We'll see if we can connect with them and find out if it's a good fit for that program. Following the housing studies released last year, we've been very engaged with residential development this past year. And right now we're having a lot of talks with developers on the potential for projects in Seneca County. We all know there's a need for quality housing in our area. Any realtor you talk to will tell you that There's not a whole lot of housing stock, be that rental properties, single family homes, et cetera. So we're trying to see what we can do to be part of that conversation and continue to grow that. Just recently, we helped, David especially helped facilitate some incentives, and we did the announcement for NRP, which was moving forward with the second phase of Tiffin Point, which again, we're very excited about and hope to have some more residential announcements here before too long. A couple months ago, David and I reconvened the Economic Development Committee. Already the group has been coming up with ideas for industrial development and needs for planning, with TPC's purchase of the Atlas building, and recently company MBDS moved into the former Tiffin Insulators. Available industrial space is incredibly limited. So I also recently finished the submission for the city of Tiffin's 40-acre site on Mall Road for the Jobs Ohio Site Ohio program, which will help better market that as well. So taking not only looking at what sites we have available, trying to invest in the next maybe spec building or getting more industrial space is really very forefront in our mind right now. Finally, in addition to all of this, I've been working on obtaining my Ohio Certified Economic Development Professional status through the Ohio Economic Development Institute. I just completed a course on that last month, and then coming up in September is the final course I have before I start my capstone project on that. So very excited to be wrapping that up. So finally, moving into communications and our media releases. Again, with so many announcements, we've been very busy in working with the media and getting out stories. Thus far in 2020, TSEP has sent out 47 press releases. That's just the ones that we've done, not including ones we've done with the city of Tiffin per a contract we have with them. Those have resulted in 130 stories in print and digital media. And then we've had 12 TV segments, most of which we work with WTOL News on. I have been interviewed a couple times by WTOL for these stories. You've probably seen a lot of other business leaders who we've been able to get out there into the greater Northwest Ohio, which is excellent. And then we've also been working a lot with the Advertiser Tribune lately. I know we have a couple of stories that we've been working on for the Our Town edition. So very excited for the continued relationship that we have with the AT and all of our media partners that we work with. Also, as well as just our traditional media outreach, I've also sent out 5 Development Digest emails as part of our strategy to do email newsletters. Those go out once a month and just provide an update on what is going on in commercial and industrial development with a lot of great resources and things. So if anyone has any interest in getting those, if they're not on that list, if you haven't received those emails, send me an email, let me know. We'd be happy to get you on that list ongoing. So with that, any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Really appreciate it. A lot going on. Really appreciate that the economy seems to be coming back. And although a lot of our folks are struggling, there are exciting projects happening. So it's beginning to really move in the right direction. And speaking of moving in the right direction, let's move to Amy Reinhardt, who manages the downtown program for our wonderful county seat here in Tiffin, Ohio. So Amy, go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us on. Just very quickly, of course, our downtown is a Main Street, which is our 4-point comprehensive approach to downtown revitalization. So those are our committees. So currently, Design Committee is working on putting together a grant for additional streetscaping items. Additionally, they're working on trying to put together the public art policy, and we will have an update on that next week. Business Enhancement is continuing to do outreach. We did a significant amount of outreach during the COVID shutdown, just trying to make sure we had touched base with all of our downtown business owners, making sure they were aware of incentives and resources. But there were some that we did not actually touch base with, so we are continuing to do that. Food truck policy. This was something the committee spent quite a bit of time on trying to figure out the right direction to go with that. And that is now over at the city for finalization. The marketing committee is trying to figure out how we promote and market downtown, as well as put on events, trying to be creative about how that's going at this point. We do have our trivia nights going on monthly, so that is good. We were able to socially distance that and put that over at the Chandelier. And operations, that is our downtown development board. They are currently working with us to put together a more virtual type event for our downtown summit this year. We will be featuring different building owners, projects, and heroes throughout the month of September via social media and a few other outlets. As we get all that pulled together, we will share additional information with you. And they are working on annual planning. That will be taking place here at the beginning of September, but we did here in mid-August have our annual trip to another Main Street. So this year we went to Medina. That was a fantastic trip where we were able to hear about their history, learn about some of the challenges they're going through, and bring back some ideas here for our community. So very worthwhile trip. You can go to the next slide, David. So facade enhancement projects, prior to the shutdown, we actually did have 7 approved city-funded facade enhancement projects. So we're very excited to have that take place. Unfortunately, that program did get suspended. But with that, we were actually able to receive the $20,000 grant from Heritage Ohio. That's the organization that oversees Main Street for the state. And that grant actually allowed us to do 3 additional facade enhancement projects that were approved here in the last month. Those applications actually were received prior to the shutdown. So we did not go out and solicit additional applications. These were already in the queue for approval. So we were pleased. So we have a total of 10 facade projects that were approved for this year. Speaking of projects in the downtown, we actually have 48 different projects going on right now in the downtown. That's anything from the expansion that Bears Den is doing with their outdoor patio to downtown apartments, bringing in new business, as well as larger projects like the gas line project. So we have quite a bit going on downtown. New businesses. I am so excited to tell you that we actually had 7 new businesses open this year. That is kind of unprecedented due to the shutdown and all the things we have going on. But Ace Serenity, House of Beauty, Healing Vines, Saul Law, a new downtown wireless company, the Pink Lady and Party Bus were actually expansions of the Renaissance, and Kessler & Co., which by the way is opening, and their grand opening is this coming Saturday. She is a clothing store and will be located down on the south end by Washington Street Outfitters. So excellent news on that front. And we still have more projects underway as far as businesses, whether they're expanding or looking at new business. So it's very exciting despite the climate. Business expansions, renovations. Rosalie Flowers opened up last year, and actually this year she expanded into a space twice her size. So we're very excited about that continued growth. But we also had 8 projects that I would consider basic refreshes. So during the COVID shutdown, when the businesses were not able to be open, I actually had 8 different business owners that painted their lobbies or put in new flooring or just basically did a refresh so that when customers came back, they were able to present a new front. So that was, again, additional investment in the downtown. You can go to the next slide, David. So some of the initiatives we have going on, of course, with the shutdown, and then as we're coming back slowly, we still do have reduced capacity for seating inside of our bars and restaurants in the downtown. So we were able to work with the city and Public Works to bring picnic tables from the parks into the downtown. And that has helped with the reduced seating. A lot of the businesses are still asking you to order basically takeout and go sit outside, but it has certainly helped the businesses, and we're looking into maybe a more permanent situation here moving forward with picnic tables. Those will be going back at the end of the season to the parks. Additionally, with that, we did get the DORA in place. So this was an opportunity to help those businesses. You know, we're watching, you know, with the reduced seating that they have right now and still having paid staff, they have a significant reduction in their overall income. And we need to be the ones to help support them through this difficult time. You know, we see them now as they're still struggling with that, but what does that mean for them in 6 months or a year from now? So getting the DORA in place allows them to, and again, if you don't know what the DORA is, it's the designated outdoor refreshment area. It allows a patron to go in, purchase a beverage, take it to go, basically. So you can have it outside. You can go get a drink at one place, you can go somewhere else and pick up your meal, and you can sit outside. I'm getting great responses. This was implemented on July 7th in our downtown, and we're about a month and a half in. I've got businesses telling me that they are beginning to recoup some of those losses from having the reduced seating. I have another business that told me they've doubled sales on Saturday nights. I have had 3 businesses that have completely run out of cups and had to purchase more. So they are seeing a revenue increase from this. So it is actually doing what we had intended it to do. Food truck policy, as I mentioned, this was an initiative that was undertaken by the Business Enhancement Committee. They had to look into the requirements, fee structures, steps, which organizations needed to be involved, from the county health department to the city over at fire and police. They did get all of that pulled together, and it is over at the city. They are making their final adjustments and will report back to the committee. Business outreach, as I mentioned, that was a big push for us during the shutdown. We have over 170 businesses in the downtown. Just making sure that they had the information they needed about the PPP, the EIDL, other grants and incentives. There were some that were specific to, for example, hair salons. So just making sure that that information was relayed to them so that they had what they needed during the shutdown. You can switch, David. So some of the media. Facebook, since January to July, we had about 93,000 reaches on our downtown Facebook page. So just trying to make sure people are getting the information that we need. We did a rebrand. So now that we have the Workforce Digest, the Rural Digest, Development Digest, we now have, instead of the Downtown Times, we have the Downtown Digest. So that is continuing to go out as an e-newsletter that's sent out to key stakeholders, business owners, just to make sure that they're aware of upcoming events, updates, incentives, programs, business assistance. If you are not receiving it and would like to, please let me know. We also took what was the Downtown Digest, which was just my monthly outreach to board members, committee members, and elected officials. That has now been rebranded to the Downtown Update. So two different things going to 2 different groups with 2 different kinds of information. With the shutdown, we, as businesses started to reopen, we were able to get with WTTF and do a weekly business update so we could get on the radio and let people know these businesses are open now. Please come and visit them. Or, hey, they've got a little bit of a change in their schedule. When are they open? So we were able to relay that information. As well with WBBI, we did some commercials. So we were actually sharing that information. Dave Spurgeon and I both put together those commercials, and those were playing on BBI. Additionally, WTOL has been a great partner. They actually did do a couple of downtown news stories. They did highlight our downtown auction of firsts, as well as the Dora as that was opening up. You can go ahead, David. So the auction of firsts, this was our opportunity during the shutdown to bring some income into the businesses as they were struggling. We had 30 different businesses that participated in this, and the community was very generous. The items that were proposed, majority of them sold for significantly more than what the asking cost was. So again, it was just a way to kind of infuse some cash flow into these businesses during the shutdown. We were able to work with the library on Tiffin Tales. So this was a partnership where Matt Ross was able to speak with publishers, get relaxed information on copyrights, and we had downtown business owners as well as elected officials read stories for the younger population here in Tiffin. So those were posted both on the library page as well as the Downtown Tiffin Facebook page. Unfortunately, with the copyright laws, they were actually only able to be up for a couple of weeks. So they have since come down, but it was a great event and the students really did appreciate that. So, we had just so many different ways we were reaching out, trying to communicate, trying to support the businesses during our shutdown. And with that, Heritage Ohio did recognize Tiffin for our shutdown efforts as we diligently trying to help our businesses. And we were actually featured in the summer edition of Revitalize Ohio for our efforts. I want to close with just one last item. We do have the Heritage Ohio Main Street Annual Conference coming up, and it actually starts this coming Monday. It will be virtual this year, and it is 2 weeks. So it goes from September 24th through August 24th through September 4th. And it will take place with one morning and one afternoon session and then an evening networking session. So for 2 weeks, there are opportunities for multiple different sessions. It is actually free of charge for us as a Main Street community this year. So if you would like to participate, we have some great national speakers that will be presenting since they don't need to travel here to Ohio. Some great topics, historic preservation, topics on small business, working with the State Historic Preservation Office. Again, it's just, there are so many things, sponsorship and so much more. If you are at all interested, and this can be anyone community-wide that would like to participate in this conference, please reach out to me. I will help you get the registration taken care of. So with that, I will just see if there's any questions. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say that I had a great time in Medina, and there was a lot of takeaways from that. So I really appreciated the invitation to attend that with y'all, and hopefully one of the commissioners will put it on their schedule for next year to go along, because it's really informative. And I also wanted to mention that I participated in the Heritage Ohio podcast on creative placemaking and public art. It's lengthy. It's about an hour and a half podcast, but if you haven't had a chance to tune into that, take some time and do it, because it really shows what public art can do for a community. They had presenters from Hamilton, Toledo, Athens, and I believe Canton, and it showed how public art had transformed their downtown community. So worth a listen.
Thanks. Congratulations on your recognition as well, Amy.
Thank you.
All right, moving, I'm going to talk briefly about some of the higher level things we're working on from an organizational perspective. This is as of today, what the yearly numbers look like. We absolutely understand that these aren't net numbers, and it doesn't really capture what the overall net economic activity is, but it's the positive side of that. And obviously there's a lot of negative side to the negative impact of the coronavirus, but 145 different projects done by businesses. That's everybody from doing a facade or one person starting a business to $38 million at Church and Dwight. So it really ranges. 240 jobs. Again, that's not a net number, but 240 jobs of the projects that did move forward, and jobs associated with the companies that invested is about 4,000. 61 million in new announced investment that will take place over the next couple of years. And of the assistance that we track in terms of tax credits, grants, financing, et cetera, about 1.7 million. Project pipeline right now is pretty robust. Things have gotten busy again, whereas most projects were on hold. There are a lot of companies considering and working on what their next expansion and growth is. There are a lot of companies working on survival. So, and some are working on both. It's a big mixed bag. So I don't want to convey the wrong impression. A lot of the businesses we're talking to are struggling. They're not back to full strength, and some we anticipate. We've had some closures, and we think there will be some more of that. But there's a lot of good news as well, as I think you're seeing from some of the sales tax too. As you can see, so a number of projects. We got about 43 in rural Seneca County, in addition to those in Tiffin, and some are looking at multiple locations. Most of them, as is always the case, retention, expansion, existing businesses is number one, but there's a lot of potential things on the real estate front where people are looking at either investing in a building, creating new space, et cetera, and a lot of entrepreneurship going on. So that's exciting. And that's throughout the county. And active projects, manufacturing is the number one industry in terms of the number of projects, followed by kind of real estate investors and developers, and then hospitality and food, and it kind of goes down from there. Our Q3 priorities, what we've been working on particularly is our business outreach to Insight. One of the things that Sam did to help us with that was really look at all the 550 or so rural businesses. I think it's 534 specifically, and look at exactly what tax district they're in. So what township are they in? What school district are they in? So we can be more sophisticated with our reporting back to the stakeholders out in rural Seneca County. So each one of our team, including myself, has goals for that, and we're looking to try to get to 500 by the end of the year, and we're pushing hard for that. Focusing on planning efforts, shout out to Charlene and the commissioners for their work on the comprehensive plan. Audrey talked about the Tiffin community development part of that. That's part of the one piece of the overall effort, and we're excited to play our role there. And then from an economic development perspective on the county, we're doing that. Audrey talked about the entrepreneurship strategic plan we're getting off the ground and the process for community development project in Tiffin. So a lot of planning going on, and will continue to go on. We continue to try to execute our communications and marketing strategy, and what that means is we got these great informational things going out on overall development in the county. rural development in the county, workforce development in the county, and industrial and commercial. And we just got to get it in the hands of people. So let us know, and we're going to be actively reaching out to people, make sure they're aware of these things. We want to make sure if people want to get the information, they can get it. And then solving the real estate challenge with spec space. We have none. Basically, we had a spec building. Looks like it's it's off the market right now. The deal's not done, but it's off the market because it looks like it potentially could be a project there. But that takes months to finalize. But we know we're going to need another one at sometime soon. And we have in the county outside of Fostoria, we have one 37-acre site of any size. So we're trying to get a new industrial park going. Appreciate Commissioner Kirshner sitting on the Economic Development Committee that Nick and I are working on. This is our outreach so far. We're about 262 businesses. One of Audrey's pieces, we're at, the goal was in the contract committed to reach out and touch base with 26. We're at 19 right now. So she's done a really nice job with that. And you can see kind of from our customer relationship management system, the rural businesses, how the 524, split out. And we're going to be able to have more sophisticated reporting on that, hopefully by the end of this year, but we are definitely tracking it. Downtown, we're above the numbers, et cetera. So a lot of projects from businesses that we're touching base with. So 129 of the 145. So that's pretty exciting. And you can see that where the distribution of the businesses, about 900 of the businesses in the county are in Tiffin, about 524, and then additional 200 or so in the downtown. That's everything from the office of a government office, a nonprofit, to a bank, to a manufacturer. Talked about planning efforts. I won't belabor this. We're going through our annual planning process. We have on the shelf ready to go a consultant pick to do a new comprehensive economic development strategy, which is a very collaborative kind of effort. And so we're waiting till we get in a financial position and things look better for the commissioners and other support, but we'll be ready to move forward on that as soon as all of our funders and supporters are in a position where they're comfortable to move forward with that. So we're kind of ready for that. Talked about community development, entrepreneurship strategic plan, and also we have a policy development committee that finished its work. Mike Kirshner was on that, along with Mayor Montz and both heads of both universities, et cetera. Just trying to work at how we look at big public projects in the downtown. And so I think the biggest thing coming out of that, we presented that to City Council, but it's working on getting our, more sophisticated. We benchmarked 9 communities in the downtown in Ohio, and they're using more kind of formal RFQ processes. So we're going to get those in place as a tool for City Council or the district or the county, anybody that would want to use it, just having it at the ready so that people have the options. And then last but not least, we talked about this again. This is just, it's a challenge to get stuff done. And fortunately, we had a local investor that put up a spec building, but getting the land, it's something we've been working on for a number of years. And we got about 20 people on a committee, including Commissioner Kirshner's on that, as well as many, many others, the utilities, the rail lines, regional growth partnership, and everybody trying to get their heads together on figuring out what our next step is. So that's my report. I'd be happy to take any questions, other than make the comment that I'm really proud of this team. I think they work hard, they care, they get stuff done, and they're always trying to improve and get better, myself included. And I think I feel good about the value we're adding.
Okay, David, thank you very much. And thank you to your staff. It was a great report. I got to tell you that I've had the chance to work with all these folks, except for the newest young man, on a number of occasions, and they do a great job. And the results are pretty obvious. Good things are going on here, and I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you very much on behalf of the citizens of the county.
And thank you for the long partnership with the county. We really appreciate your support.
Okay, any questions of any of the folks from economic development? Hearing none, we will move on to new business. The first item is building permits. Again, a good segue. David Zach was part of this conversation. I can't reveal a whole lot except that some of the builders have been frustrated with the building permit process and the time that it takes to get the building permits approved, and also any changes. And the time it takes to get people down to inspect, et cetera. So Sandusky County has taken a different approach to this. They're going to do, through a company, they're going to do their own building permits. We have also talked with that company and are going to get a proposal and kind of a history of the company. We're in the early due diligence stage of this. I will, in open session, talk with fellow commissioners about the potential change. Hopefully it'll be an easier way to expedite new buildings that happen both residential and commercial in Seneca County. This is not a new issue. It's been going on for at least 10 years. We have been through a couple of different building permit areas. Currently, we're with Richland County, and we've talked to Wyandotte County, we've talked to Wood County, we've talked to a number of other folks about joining forces. So this will be an ongoing topic, just to kind of tee it up and let you know that it'll be on the agenda the next couple of times at least. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be incredibly frustrating if you're trying to build a project and you're waiting for a permit.
Yeah, it's not, you're right, Commissioner. And not only is it frustrating, but it's expensive. You know, if you're stopped in the middle of a project because somebody doesn't have the time to come down and do an inspection, that's all those folks on that project having to wait for them to get it done. So the builders have expressed a lot of frustration with the method that we're using at this point, and I understand their concerns. Okay, supplemental appropriations.
And Mike, I've got a couple things I want to get into the record.
Yes, please.
Just, I mean, we can go on to supplementals, but I just want to give a shout out to Attica and the American Legion there. They had their groundbreaking, and that's, you know, a wonderful collaborative project. And so congratulations to them. I also wanted to mention and get this in the record that there's a working group working on a memorial for Martin Luther King Jr. and to pay homage to his legal work that he did for equality. And, you know, one of the concepts being thrown around is to do some kind of reflection to Lady Justice or something like that. So I think it could be a nice project, and there's a working group there. So we'll be hearing more about that. And I also wanted to mention that this week commemorated the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, women's suffrage. And so I didn't want that to go past without us acknowledging that important milestone. And I thought I would throw in there that it only took 68 years for Seneca County to elect a female commissioner. So Janet Dell was elected in '88 as our first female commissioner. And of course, we know that Janet was a native of Melmore and a graduate of Heidelberg, and you know, served for 12 years as a commissioner in Seneca County, one of our own, and that you know, a lot of progress was made in Seneca County during that time. So I didn't want that to go past without that shout out. And just a little bit on the museum. For the other two, I've had a number of meetings on this, and I know people are looking to us for some kind of direction on where we may be going with this. And obviously we haven't had any more discussion than what we've had here, but you know, I just want to throw this out for consideration. This is certainly not a final answer, but we need to start noodling on our path forward. You know, as we see funding coming back and we contemplate getting back to the museum, I would, you know, it's my suggestion that we bring Tanya back as I would call it the curator of the collection, so we can continue the inventory and do some of those things that we need to be done. But without a plan to reopen the doors, you know, we do still have the pandemic, and we haven't done any planning around that. And you know, then engage our community stakeholders, whether it be Visitors Bureau, the parks, the foundation, the Historic Society, Chamber of Commerce. I mean, there's a lot of stakeholders, and revisit the structure that we were operating under with the advisory board, and see if we want to go a path forward that's different than our current path, or if we want to stay on the same path. So, you know, I'm certainly not at the end of my discovery process, but I thought it was important to let the other two of you know where my thoughts are at the current time.
Okay, well, currently the advisory board has been disbanded, if you will, and that included, community people, community foundation, people from the Historical Society. So is your suggestion that we reconvene that group or a similar group to put together?
Yeah, I've talked to a number of community leaders, and everybody wants to see the museum be successful, and I don't think anybody has the final answer. So until we convene stakeholders, I don't know if we know what that should look like. So I know several people have expressed an interest in participating in some broader conversation. So aside from us, dictating the future, I think that's a better path forward, where we have a more inclusive group discussing how it should look. But in the meantime, I think we have a lot of work to do on inventorying and the museum itself. So if the funding is available, I think we focus on that task at hand to set us up for a better position in the future.
Okay, let's Nikki, let's put it on the agenda next week and see if we've made any progress by then, huh? Okay, anything else? Tony, you have anything to add?
No, not this time.
I see that I did notice that Mr. Ditto has joined us. Mike, do you have any type of an update that you'd like to give us today? Anything new happening in Columbus, Ohio? Well, maybe he's not there. Okay. All right, let's go on with the other part of the new business, supplemental appropriation, Stacy Wilson. And, maybe I ought to give you a vote today in honor of women's suffrage. I'm not sure, but.
You had Nikki put that on the agenda next week. Do you want to wait until after we start the discussion about bringing employees back? Because we're not going to have that discussion until after.
Well, I think that, I think this is a separate discussion.
Okay.
I mean, it won't be about refunding, funding. It'll be more about direction, I think.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, I've got a couple requests. I have a supplemental appropriation for our postage line for $25,000. We are currently down to, I think there's $25,000 left on our account. We started at $100,000. We have $10,000 on the machine, and the Board of Elections just this first. The primary spent probably about $26,000 on postage. And so we just want to make sure we're going to be not going to run out, because we still have dog tags yet this year, other postage going through our machine. So we're asking to put $25,000 in that line. If we don't use it, then it'll just get rolled over into the carryover for next year. I have a supplemental appropriation for our uninsured expense. We usually start out with $50,000 a year budgeted when we were doing budgets at the end of last year. Some of our uninsured expenses were down, so we decided to reduce it to $25,000. We are now down to about $10,000, and we still have the antenna repairs, and there was some roof damage at the barn, and some of the doors at the barn. That revenue, besides the $2,500 deductible, will come back to the county, but we need to put the expense in place. So like I said, we're down to about $10,000 now, and we have a few outstanding invoices that will need paid, and we've still got a little less than half a year yet, hopefully no problems. But so that's what that request before. I need $100,000 into our transfers out. That includes money that has to go into the general fund that we have dedicated to our capital projects fund. 25,000 will be for the soil and water lease, 42,000 for our farm lease, and then farm service agency will pay us about 16,008. So 84,000 of that 100 is going to be coming in on revenue, and then we will in turn expense that out into our capital improvement line. The auditor's office, there was apparently some mix up with the auditor's office, treasurer's office, and some interest for the Justice Center had inadvertently got put to the general fund. They had did a court order without letting us know out of our transfers outline of $6,800. So that took a little bit of money out of the line that we were anticipating doing some of these for. I understand the reason that it was done. I just wish she would have let us know it was coming, because it takes it out of my line that I don't know about. But it was a court order, so they followed the court order. If you see on the agenda, we do have the request for the vest that I'll get into in a second, but that will be an additional transfers out included in that 100,000 for the 7,300 for the share of the vests. So those are my supplementals. I have a resolution authorizing fund advance from the general fund to the bulletproof vest fund. I'll go ahead and explain that now. The sheriff had put in a grant at the beginning of the year, kind of before COVID started, was getting that process started. He held on to that until closer towards the grant deadline, just because of all of the expenses being cut. But he submitted it. We were awarded, let me get the confirmation. We were awarded $22,053.77. So once we purchase it, we will get that reimbursement back. We do have a match on that. So as you can tell by the invoice, we will have the $7,300 needing to be transferred. The last time he got vests through a grant, I think was four years ago, if I remember our conversations correctly. So I think that's obviously a good investment, something that we've always deemed necessary for that department. So the advance I mentioned would be for the $22,053.77. That will be reimbursed to the general fund when it comes back. He will need the transfer to be made from the general fund to the bulletproof vest fund for the $7,351.26. I have a resolution designating the official representative and alternate for the purpose of voting at the Corsa annual membership meeting 2020. All these meetings will be online. I think we were leaving it the same as last year, having both Tony and I as the designees. In case Tony can't go, I can go. Same with the representative for the alternate for the purpose of voting at the annual meeting of the County Commissioners Association. They have Tony and me down as the designee and the alternate. And
let's hope this year isn't as exciting as last year.
But we won't have to drive down there this time, so no good food. So those are all I have.
Okay, I will entertain a
Motion to accept.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Any
Discussion?
additional discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make a point. As commissioners, we talk about all the electeds and all the other budgets in the county, but the commissioner's office has its own budget. And when we take all the money out of our budget, i.e. general fund, and we don't leave any money left, then it's these kind of things, $7,300 for a bulletproof vest, money to replace air handlers that we're not going to be able to do. So as we look at the budget, I want the public, all the electeds, and all of us to understand we also have our own budget. And I think we got to make decisions keeping that balance. That said, I'm ready for the vote.
Okay, well, good. All those in favor, say, well, I guess we need a roll call, don't we? Yes, Nikki.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Okay, anything else, commissioners, that you wish to bring up today? If not, Jimmy, the time has come. Anybody got their hand raised out there?
I do not see anything right now, but if you'd like to come forward, if you're on our phone lines, you can hit *6 to unmute. If not, go ahead and unmute yourself on the computer and come forward now if you have a public comment.
Commissioner Kirschner, this is
Yep.
Shirley Smith, and
Yes,
I'm speaking for Kiwanis of Tiffin today. We have had for 12 years what's called a grade A celebration for junior fair participants that have received A's on their projects. Due to COVID, this planning for this event has taken many turns and twists, as has our whole lives and everything else that we are connected with, and have come up with another type of way of recognizing the hard work that these young people put in this year on their projects. We did not want to simply cancel it. We felt that they deserved recognition. So what we have, I've submitted a proposal to Stacy to have the Justice Center lit in green on the 30th of August, and hopefully that'll be granted as a way of showing recognition. And also hopefully we can get a proclamation from the commissioners to for then as well. And then we are putting together a video showing all of the clubs, the members that have received A's, and making sure that that's available on Facebook. So we're trying to recognize them as best we can. It's not as good, certainly, as entertaining them with food and an entertainer and with prizes and awards as we've done in the past, but hopefully next year will be better. That's
we appreciate all
Shirley,
the.
yeah, Kaylee's sent some information in, and we will address this next week on the 27th. It'll be on our agenda.
Okay.
And, with the proclamation.
Very good. Thank you, Tony.
That's great. They need some entertainment. Tell them to tune in the commissioners meeting next Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you, Shirley.
Anything else out there? Jimmy, nothing?
Seeing none.
Okay. We are 11:37 a.m. adjourned.